there is a psychological technique that I used to make my nofap urges gone overnight. And this is the idea of reward and punishment. A reward is something that makes behavior more likely, and a punishment is something that makes a behavior less likely. My punishment was to, every time I felt like I wanted to, I would do 10 push-ups. And my reward is that if I stayed within my nut goal for the week, then I would be able to listen to AirPods at the gym. For that week, one day out of the week, Sunday, I would be able to listen to my AirPods while I work out. And this worked because after like one day of doing this, right? So I'd be studying like my psychology, and I'd feel an urge. So I'd get up like, go to the little carpet over there, do my 10 push-ups, get up. It's not that hard, but I just feel like, dang, bro, like, why? So I'd sit back down. 10 minutes later, I feel like some feelings. I'm like, get up, do 10 push-ups, and it wasn't really the pain. Although it kind of was though, because the day before I started this, I did 200 push-ups for the first time in my life, and these areas were painful. And then the day where I started this practice, these were so sore. But I don't think you need to do like 200 push-ups or whatever. The idea is that you're mentally punishing yourself, and that you associate getting horny with the annoyance of getting up wherever you are, getting on the ground, doing those 10 push-ups, rolling your eyes, getting up, and then feeling annoyed that you wasted that like 15 seconds of push-ups, and get back to your work or whatever, go on with your day or whatever. And this, honestly, it changed everything. I just no longer, even throughout the day, like, I just no longer feel urges. It's amazing. Honestly, the reward part is not my motivation for doing this, because nowadays, like, I love music, and you don't understand how much I love creating music, listening to music. But I don't know, in some sense, rewards don't really motivate me the same way as that annoying punishment of even the feeling of getting horny just makes me. And I don't have to apply this rule all the time now. Like, now whenever I feel it, I kind of threaten myself with the push-ups, and then my PP's like, no, please, and then I just go on with my day. Now, there is this psychological trick that I use to be free, and it feels so good that Jesus relieved me from this, that he showed me this thing that now I'm relieved from. So that's the video, but if you notice, there's a bit more to it, a lot more to it, because I want to talk about more psychological things that could help you in this journey, because there's some things that, it's like some YouTube videos that really help others, but it's different. For me, it was the reward and punishment, but for you, it might be something else. So let's continue. There are things in psychology that will make you, so let's say you're anxious. Okay, forget that, sorry, I just had a brain fart. The reason a lot of people get anxious over certain things is when their real self, like you're anxious over nofap, right? Because you're failing over and over. Okay, so your real self and your ideal self are at conflict. Okay, so your real self is who you are right now. You're failing, you're trying to get off this addiction, but you keep failing. You get to day 3, you get to day 1, you get to 6 hours, and then you fail. And there's your ideal self, who doesn't even have urges, and they're at conflict because they're not aligned, because who you actually are is not the person who you want to be. So they're like this, and they're not aligned. So one of two things happen in order for you to stop feeling anxious. You either become that guy and become the person who doesn't fap, and then your real and ideal are at harmony, and you no longer feel anxious. Or, and this is the path 99% of people take, they change their beliefs. Let's say that you are an environmentalist and you are very concerned about greenhouse gases, but you have a really sick truck and it runs on gasoline. So in your heart of hearts, your environmentalist self knows that you should not be driving that truck. But you have one, the gas guzzling truck, so much steam, not steam, so much fumes come out of it. It destroys our atmosphere, our heat, greenhouse gases, all this, and it's bad. And now you're at conflict because you like the truck so much. So what do? Well, most people decide to keep the truck. They say, oh, I'm only one person. Oh, it's just a truck. It's not like a big factory or anything. Oh, everybody else has a truck in my neighborhood, so it's just one more. And you keep the truck. You're aligned. Your ideal self has compensated toward your real self. And this is something you want to avoid, because you don't want to compensate fapping off. You're done. You don't want this anymore. You want to be free. This idea is called cognitive dissonance. And whenever you have this, it causes anxiety. Good. Feel this anxiety. Feel what it's like to go months and months just failing on the third day, on the verge of giving up. Maybe even giving up and then just coming back to it. It's good. It's good to feel that, because that is it's the resistance that will build. This feeling will build inside of you until the day that you're free. And what a rejoicing it'll be when you are. There are some other things. Oh my goodness, my notes are all over the place, I know. It's called defense mechanisms. And these defense mechanisms are rationalizations by our brain to reduce anxiety when you are in cognitive dissonance. Every time you switch you compensate the ideal self, you compromise the ideal self. Every time you compromise it toward your actual self, your real self, it's these defense mechanisms. So one of them, repression. You see a 10 out of 10 woman at school, and you see her, once, twice a week. No, I shouldn't feel that. No, down you go. Like whenever you talk to her, very neutral. Hello, good to see you. But no, don't think those things. No, I shouldn't. Maybe you don't even talk to her because you feel such negative feelings toward sex and sexuality. No, don't feel those things. Repression. You've probably seen shows about what happens. We don't want that. We don't want repression. Reaction formation. When you act one way, but toward others, in the context of others, you act very, very differently. There's this funny story of this conservative man who condemns the gays, and in law, he sets up so many laws. He votes for every single bill against gays, and they found him in the airport having an orgy with men in the bathroom. Crazy. He was one thing, his other was so he was literally, his real self, what his actual self was down here. And his ideal self was up in a suit voting for all the bills that was against him, because he had high anxiety. He was at a crossroads. He was at a resistance, and that's the way he compensated for it. That was his defense mechanism, to be a political figure and to vote against LGBTQ. Crazy. Projection. You blame the problem on anything but yourself. You don't want to take responsibility. You don't want to say, hey, maybe the problem is me. Hey, maybe it's because I look at my phone first thing in the morning. There's a reason why. And then you'll say, oh, but my mom texts me in the morning. She wants me to read the text. And the problem is you. Stop. And this goes for other things other than nofap too. You gotta stop and consider, okay, how can, as a man, take responsibility for any certain situation in my group that I'm facing? So when you're projecting, you don't want to take responsibility, and when you don't take responsibility, the problem will not be solved, especially when the problem it boils down to you and you don't want to admit it. Problem won't be solved. Simple. Then there is the defense mechanism that the creator of this, you probably heard Sigmund Freud, and like it's a very popular name in psychology, and people who know you don't study psychology probably heard this name, Sigmund Freud. And there's many defense mechanisms, but I just covered 4, and this is the 4th one. Sublimation, where you take that energy and you output it in someone else. So like bullies, right? All right, let's say someone gets bullied at home, okay? The father bullies them, so they have this rage, they can take it out at the kid at school, or they can take out their rage by going for a run. So this is what Sigmund Freud says. Sigmund Freud believed that you should take that energy and to push it into something else, and to push it, but in a healthy way. Freud said exercising, maybe beating up a punching bag instead of beating up a kid. Whatever you beat up, the rage is being expelled, but you want to do it in a healthy way. Me personally, I don't agree with that. I think it's just as cope as all the other things I've mentioned. It sounds cool, you get bullied at home, just take out your rage, go for a walk the dog. It sounds very wholesome, but you're not addressing the problem. So let's think about it in the context of nofap. Okay, again, you see a very 10 out of 10, and she's at school. If you don't want to talk to her, and if you don't genuinely you don't think it's right for you to approach her in that kind of way, thank God for the beauty of this person. And even from a non-Christian sense, the way of the superior man, David Deida, says, breathe in the beauty and appreciate the beauty of that woman. Breathe in to your the bottom of your spine, to your nutsack. Breathe it in and appreciate that beauty of that person. If you do, thank God for her beauty, because that female figure is the most beautiful thing in all of creation, and man knew this. It was literally the piece de resistance, the last thing he created on those first 7 days. It's a beautiful thing. We thank God for that beauty. Now here's another thing to consider. Yes, they're beautiful. Now, are you willing to take responsibility of that love? Because obviously this is what lust is. Lust is wanting to take the beauty without giving, without sacrificing. That's what porn is, right? You're taking the beauty of that woman on the screen and you're not giving anything back. That's why it's so powerful in a bad way. So when you see a beautiful girl, and then ask yourself, what do you want? Okay, you want to see her naked. Maybe you want to do some things to her, and then, but do you know what naked means? Naked means not just her body, but her inside herself, the problem she carries, the trauma that she's faced, the ugliness of that person inside too. Does your love reach out to expand for all of this? And that's not a question you can answer unless you know this person, unless she's your friend, unless she's a good friend of yours. You can't know. The eyes can only see so much, but God sees inside that person and as well as outside that person. Maybe you say, oh, she takes care of herself. I can see on her body. She refuses sweets. She works hard to maintain her look. And yes, that's a show of character. Great. You don't know what she went through. Maybe she has anorexia. Maybe she was told something when she was 9 years old that that makes her so anxious to take like her proper amount of dietary needs. Maybe she won't eat butter because of that. And butter's healthy, by the way. Like she won't eat any oil, or like it's like to a crazy level, like crazy level. Are you willing to see her nakedness for what it really is, or do you just want the beauty? Thank you, and leave. Come and go, right? Is that what you have to ask yourself this? Because that's what love is. That sacrificial, that togetherness. That's what intimacy is, right? And you want intimacy. You want, when you're in a relationship, for the girl to see your needs. You want to be able to expose yourself to that girl and her loving you more because you've done that. So can you do that to her? Is that something you're willing to do to those pixels on the screen? If Freud was talking to you, he would tell you to take that energy in your nutsack and put it towards your work. What I think personally you should do. Breathe in the beauty and appreciation of that work. Let that fuel your work. Yes, that's great and all. Maybe hit some push-ups if she's too good. Thank God. Because at the basis of everything, when you treat everything through love, you're able to recognize how God intended our lives to work. So, psychological way to get off nofap with a bit of Jesus in it. Wait, I wanna show you something. Look, I got LED lights, bro. Look. Yo, LED lights, bro. What? Yo, look at this. Yo.